All right, guys, we are here with Brandon. I've known you for a while, bro.
We go way back. We
do.
It's been a long time.
Obviously, I know, just to give a little bit of context to everyone watching, Brandon, I've known him for many, many years. So obviously, even though we only launched the program I've been working on a couple weeks ago.
We've done stuff in the past, definitely.
Definitely. We'll give a little bit of backstory. So Brandon, I guess right off the bat, give me a bit of rundown on what you do, because I think it could be useful for them to know kind of how we worked together prior to this and what kind of knowledge you had going into faceless channels before kind of all of this.
Yeah, of course. For the last couple months, we've worked pretty close knit, as well as with some other business partners, working with Snapchat, just upscaling other portfolios from different media agencies. So we've done some good work. We've brought in pretty substantial amounts for Snapchat. They're pretty happy with our work. I think it's a close-knit kind of relationship. You give the advice to actually just take it off the ground. So I came in with some experience. I understand how to use different tools to kind of automate the processes, but properly applying that, I think just kind of that knowledge definitely got expanded through the YouTube automation program.
100%. I mean, bro, like the numbers we were doing on Snapchat, but I think we'll get more into this later as well, is like you know that even though we're doing 7 times less than we were with Snapchat, it's so much more long-term because we're not relying on, I mean, as I'm sure you know, the platform as a whole is just so bad in terms of longevity.
It's inconsistent as well. I think with all the quarterlies, I mean, you've obviously got like Q4 we're entering right now.
100%.
So, that's gonna take things like next level. I think YouTube's the space to be in right now.
100%, man. Let's quickly go. Do you want to go ahead and just quickly show the analytics on one of those snapshots you were running for us? Because I know you have access.
Yes, of course. I'll quickly pull that up now.
Wait.
I think I'll pull up some analytics of just over the last couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers you did on Snapchat and then obviously carrying over to YouTube now, bro, it's insane.
We blew up. I think when I first adopted the show that I'm currently running, we'll only do one of them. Obviously, it could have some privacy to it all. We onboarded this show doing pretty low figures. I think it was only like low end of 5 figures a month. Since taking it over and working together, we've pretty much multiplied it at least 50 times over. So we've got here, this is from the last 2 months, having made over 386.
Absolutely insane, bro. I mean, Snapchat was a different breed, man. That was honestly crazy. And I think that's obviously one of the things we have to overcome when, kind of transitioning from Snapchat to YouTube. Because I know even though you're doing like 5K a month now with YouTube, and of course you just started, so it's kind of like understandable that you're only doing 5K a month. But I think
it comes down to consistency, definitely. You're not going to expect instant results. That's just how things work. Otherwise, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, like with YouTube automation as a whole, right? Do you think, how have you sort of dealt with that going in from it? Because I know obviously you started with Snapchat shows going from short form to kind of, I believe you're doing ultra long form now, and that's kind of what's performing really well. What do you think was the biggest separation going from that to that? Do you think some stuff carried over? Do you think you're still basically a beginner? Anyone could do kind of what you did?
So I do think it's pretty easily accessible. It doesn't take a lot of prior knowledge to, expand on and upscale and start making the figures that, anyone would want to make. We did do some longer form content with Snapchat, seeing most content you see on there is roughly 2 minutes long. I think a lot of the videos we were publishing would put out to be at least 10 to 15 minutes. And in doing so, we saw significant results that longer form content does typically respond better. So I think using that knowledge and applying that instantly into YouTube, it took what we made and pretty much boosted it up in a much quicker duration.
100%, man.
So,
no, for sure. So have you kind of tried, because I know when we got into kind of Snap and then when we migrated to YouTube, because I know you said you don't really like the way the platform's going, and it's not too long term. And of course with Snapchat, we don't really have any scalability kind of post Snapchat. We're kind of stuck with the inventory we have. Whereas with YouTube, we can consistently be scaling, popping out new channels once we scale. How do you think you sort of, did you find it easy to kind of get into? Have you kind of tried this prior? Obviously YouTube automation. Have you ever given this a shot before this? And what do you think set us kind of apart working with each other?
Yeah, right on. Good questions. I do believe that working with yous made it a lot easier. I think going about it traditionally and doing it all alone, it's kind of the first steps. People are too afraid and unsure of where to go. They don't know what to do. So I think having that mentor and the proper program just backing you is just such a fundamental asset. I have had some prior experience. Not me myself, but I was working pretty close knit with a mate who started the faceless automation, doing longer form content with nighttime sleep stories. I'm sure Blake is familiar with who I'm talking about. that. But it's an interesting space, and I think with the YouTube changes currently compared to Snapchat and how what the direction they're taking, it's a strong option.
100%, man. Especially with ultra long form and stuff. I know that's kind of what we're starting with. And I know that once again, you were insanely good in terms of a testimonial for us. Because as I said, you joined kind of prior to really launching this public.
Yeah.
And I know that you started with a pre-monetized channel on that first channel we're starting with. In terms of revenue, what are you doing at the moment? And when did you start? Just so we have a bit of revenue and kind of an idea on this.
Yeah, good. We roughly started with the YouTube around 2.5 months ago now, if I'm correct. We did start with a pre-monetized channel, which is, platform to just purchase your own already existing channels. It kind of just bypasses that like wait time on, payment from work. So I think that's definitely beneficial. It's a big motivational factor as well. I mean, putting in work and not seeing a result, it's something that I think stops people very quickly. So having that just instantly, I mean, it just kind of, I think, persuaded me to proceed and continuing it.
100%, man. I know when you had Snapchat, obviously you were making 100K a month. And I know to go from that to kind of 5K a month with YouTube is a big gap. But do you think that, like, in your head, I know that when we obviously were doing Snap, do you see this a lot more scalable, a lot more long-term as a whole?
Long-term it is. I mean, YouTube's been around for as long as anyone can remember. All the big names, I mean, they're ingrained. So I do believe it's definitely more longer form. While figures do drop, like, I mean, Snapchat could be up here. It's just inconsistent. So having that like secondary asset of like a consistent, but like, more feasible number, it's comfortable.
100%. No, that makes sense. What would you say the biggest kind of bottlenecks and things you had to overcome were when starting YouTube automation? Because I know a lot of the things my clients ask nowadays is, how do we handle script writing, all these other things that can kind of be automated with AI. But I know there obviously are still some bottlenecks that come with YouTube. What would you say those sort of were for you, whether it was kind of hiring editing teams? I know when we were kind of working through that and finding those editors, it was quite difficult. Do you have anything else you kind of found that was somewhat hard to kind of get going, but once you get it going, it's streamlined?
So I think one of the first processes that we did struggle with was we used a lot of 11 labs, and they're notorious. Like, I mean, they're a great asset, absolutely vital for this kind of like production to the space, but it's super expensive. So I think, streamlining the way of doing that and minimizing costs by even like, partnering with them, taking on different plans to at least reduce the amount getting spent for a larger amount. It's kind of like buying in bulk.
100%. I know we also looked into a few alternatives, which if I remember correctly, now you're using Fish Audio, your ultra long form.
So we have made the switch to them, and I think it's pretty solid improvements, something I personally prefer.
100%. I mean, 11 Labs is obviously, as we say to people, for you, it's a little bit different because you have the capital because of obviously Snapchat and working together prior to this. But I know for a lot of people, going straight to 11 Labs can be quite dear and expensive because it is just so much more expensive, especially for like ultra long form. Normal long form, it's super affordable, but with ultra long form, it does get quite hard to kind of manage when you're first starting out. So no, justified that you definitely go with Fish Audio at that point.
And I think that's something also worth noting that, I mean, being young, like, I think this is kind of a space that you wouldn't typically expect anyone to be in at this kind of age. So I'd say the biggest piece of advice I could give for these kind of thoughts, the questions that would typically arise, you are young, you can afford to make the mistakes. If it doesn't work out, I mean, it's not realistically a big deal. So I'd say take the risk, take that leap, and it pays off. You just got to put the consistency in.
100%, man. And I know with Snapchat, you were always asking us, how do we get more shows and stuff? I know with YouTube, you've finally taken that first step. So give us a bit of insight on. I know you started your first channel with us, ultra long form. You're doing 5K a month now. And I know, if I remember correctly, you have just onboarded a few more. Give us the rundown, how many team members you have running those, what the operations look like for you, and kind of how that's structured.
Yeah, right. So being it is still an early process, it is actually majority being me with like a lot of the finding the content. So I'm the one doing a lot of the research into who I want to like get the content from. And I think that's also looking into like making sure this isn't going to bite back on me and complying with all like legal terms. So it is primarily, I would say, about 80% of me, though due to the Snapchat connections, I do have access to video editors. So while I run the larger shows, it gets me to a point of, building up shows and then handing them off to other people.
100%. And then I know you mentioned that with your kind of editing team, with the first channel you were handling, feeding ChatGPT the scripts, getting the entire scripts done, and then giving it to 11 Labs, which we obviously had to work through and then swap to Fish Audio.
Yeah.
I know now, if I remember correctly, you have your editing team handling script writing and kind of doing the entire process for you. So do you want to give some insight on how much easier that is and how much kind of more hands-off it is? And is that kind of what you're doing going forward for those new ultra long forms you're starting?
Yes, definitely. It's a process that, it, like you said, streamlines that difficult aspect. So, I mean, we hand everything off. We explain explicitly what these channels are meant to be running. So they have like a pretty solid idea. They understand like the requirements and they do well. They do their job. It's definitely, you have a lot less creative freedom though. When kind of wanting to upscale and get to the point that you want to get to, I think you need to at some point just accept that, you're not going to have that complete control. And so, trying to minimize your own effort, it's definitely worth it.
100%. And then I know that, well, for each ultra long form channel you're doing, of course, how we're using ChatGPT to kind of write the script, similar to how I taught you inside the Inner Vault. How do you kind of handle because obviously you have your editors doing the script writing for you. And of course that's done with AI. Did you essentially create individual ChatGPT projects and then give them access to that directly for each specific editor working on a specific channel? Or how did you kind of format and structure that? Did you teach them how to do it? How did you do that?
Yes. So we used ChatGPT's own tool, which allowed me to create my own models. This kind of streamlined the idea of having different tools for different aspects. And we are able to provide complete access to our editors in using them. So this doesn't really give them too much, but it gives them enough to be able to do their work more effectively and automate their own processes. Going forward, I will continue on this as, it's such a vital tool. I think we did start incorporating this into Snapchat as we had quite a few issues with, compliancy of tiles. So just having those tools that kind of automate processes and just increase the quality, it's so important.
100%. I mean, quality is everything, especially when you're doing like ultra long form. One of the biggest things is when it comes to long form, normal long form, quality is so important. But when we get to ultra long form, we can, have quality whilst not jeopardizing it too much by kind of hiring that team to handle script writing. So that makes sense. And this is kind of the thing that I think separates you from the average person we have joining the Inner Vault. And that is obviously the fact that you had made hundreds of thousands with us through Snapchat beforehand. This is why it's kind of a hard and awkward question to ask, but how did you kind of overcome? Because of course, for the average person to work with somebody else, they might think, look, I may as well just invest the money that I have saved up myself to kind of build up a channel myself. I don't really want to work directly with someone. How did you kind of get over that skepticism, if there was any at all? And this couldn't just be for me, this could kind of be for anybody else you may have worked with prior.
Skepticism is so natural. It's not something to look past. I mean, it's going to be literally the very first thing that pops to your mind. This is currently prevalent as well. I am beginning like an e-commerce program and working with some other people. So there is still skepticism, but I think it's getting past the fact that, they wouldn't be doing this if there was ulterior motives, I believe. And, in the end, they're gaining something out of it as well, not just you. So looking at it and putting it in a realistic aspect of ultimately it comes down to risk management, being able to manage it and properly look at it. I think that's something that you need to consider.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's two more questions I wanted to ask that kind of funnel into each other specifically. And that was, I know you quit your 9-to-5 very recently because of course, YouTube. I know Snapchat you didn't, because we knew and we were kind of transparent about the fact that it wasn't long term. But with YouTube, you're doing, of course, decent numbers, 5K a month USD. And of course, you and I are in Australia, so that's like 8K.
So it converts,
yeah. And we have good margins. So you recently quit your job. Give me a bit of a rundown on how you went about that. Was it nerve-wracking? What are you thinking now? Does it put more strain on you? Are you more motivated to work? And then also give me your thoughts on how you handled this, having a 9-to-5 at the same time.
I do believe it's and it's a pretty easy process. It doesn't necessarily take the time that having an actual job would. It's just a few hours here and there each day. And I think that's pretty manageable, whether you want to do this as a side hustle or pursue it completely and upscale to like the large channels. But I don't believe it was nerve-wracking. I think fundamentally it felt as if, this is something that I could pursue and be successful in. So I just kind of listened to my gut on it and just followed through. And I think the action over thought, I think definitely helped.
100%. And I know, as I've said, we've known each other for a few years. So even before this, we always had that kind of entrepreneurial mindset. Even back when we did Minecraft servers and stuff like that, as funny as it might sound. But what is your vision for the future with this? Do you see yourself scaling past even just ultra long form? Do you see yourself building kind of an empire? What do you see yourself doing in this kind of space a year from now?
Me personally, YouTube isn't my domain. Like, I mean, this is something that I'm interested in, you know, in obviously making money. Who wouldn't want to do that? Me personally, I'm treating this as a bit of a side hustle and just, you know, kind of just upscaling it to a point where I can live the kind of lifestyle I'd enjoy too. But I am more passionate about like different things regarding like health tech and founding of apps. So this is a good method to just kind of network, get those connections, understand and create knowledge that I'd not be able to do before.
100%. And then, of course, I know you mentioned that even in all our private calls we've had that, you know, you have other focuses and you kind of wanted this to kind of build up that external income when obviously inevitably Snapchat goes away. Would you say that this is something that somebody can do while working a 9 to 5? Because, you know, that's kind of similar to what, you know, you had to overcome as well, handling Snapchat, all of your shows, and then of course getting into YouTube and now having 5 ultra long form channels that are getting started. One already doing 5K a month, but do you think this is something the average person working a 9 to 5 could kind of take on under their wing at the same time simultaneously?
I do believe that is very attainable. I personally didn't have much struggle because, like, I mean, I wasn't working like long hours, such as like, you know, concreters might be doing. So it was manageable, being the fact that you just kind of be consistent, put in the time and hours and dedicate to actually continuing it. Because I think it's like a job, you're kind of working and aspiring towards a promotion in the end. That's what everyone wants. So if you treat it like that and work towards building it up to a point that you are capable of quitting a job, I believe that, you know, that's the kind of goal you should be striving for.
100%. And I know that, yeah, this is kind of like, I don't want to take stabs at anyone, but I know before joining our program, and I know before you even started on Snapchat, you did purchase another one-on-one mentorship that didn't go too well with YouTube as a whole. So what would you say, given the fact that you have that prior experience in this space and working with somebody else, what would you say the biggest differentiation was working with myself and my team and working with he who must not be named in terms of, you know, revenue and how the process sort of went along?
Yes. So it obviously raised that more higher level of doubt and skepticism on the YouTube platform as a whole. I wasn't entirely sure whether it's profitable. But again, it comes down to the fact that having that just younger level of age and so much more to look forward to. I think and I mean, even looking back now, it just happened so long ago that it's kind of just irrelevant. Like, it didn't matter that it failed. I mean, it was more of a learning curve than anything. But since working with your team and learning the space at a more expert and like premium level, it was super enriching and just kind of like gave me a whole new view on everything.
100%, man. I mean, you've fucking killed it. So, I mean, you've done so much with Snapchat that I know that the YouTube revenue you might have now doesn't seem so good, but I know that it will. And I hope you know that it will eventually compound to where even when you're doing 50K a month, it's so much more consistent than Snapchat. And that's coming from someone who does, you know, we were doing, even with Caleb, my business partner, and you were obviously working under us, you know, we were doing like $1 million a month gross, but we both know that it's not scalable. It's not going to get past that point. It's not a bad platform. It's just they've got some interesting ideas on where they want to go with it. So it is what it is. But of course, with YouTube, I see you killing it, man. You're already absolutely killing it. 2.5 months and you're doing 5K a month. Obviously profit because our expenses are exponentially low given the fact we got off 11 Labs and we're simply just working with editors that are obviously very cheap. So, I mean, man, you've absolutely killed it. I look forward to seeing where you go. And obviously we might recoup this kind of chat in a few months from now and see if, you know, we're doing a bit more revenue by then. But regardless, man, 5K a month this soon is absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate you taking the time out of my day. I mean, I personally have had such a good experience with this, so I was more than happy to record a testimonial. And I think that's kind of like a big factor on how you can trust someone. I think the testimonials and the reviews they have had is so vital. Like, I would never personally purchase something unless I know that, you know, people have had the experience, maybe even reaching out to them. But yes, no, it's been a good experience and I will definitely continue it.
100%, Brandon. Well, bro, thank you so much for taking your time. And yeah, we'll talk soon, bro. Best of luck with everything and we'll keep working towards it.